questioning of the previous interpellators on the contract of service agreements. But first, I would like to request for an impact profile, identifying agencies where, first, COS and JO funds exceed a prudent share of the budget or substitute for core functions. And number two, program execution is demonstrably constrained as a result. As an example, for prioritization, Madam Speaker, the Legal Education Board, a small but system-critical regulator whose mandate strengthens the justice system through the supervision and regulation of law school, allocates nearly 1/3 of its budget to COS personnel just to sustain high-priority programs because of an insufficient plantilla and secretariat. Given cases like LEB, what immediate DBM actions will be taken for similarly situated regulators and oversight bodies so that program funds are not continually diverted to manpower via MOOE instead of its critical function?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, so the DBM has ongoing efforts to help agencies with regard to their COS and JO workers. The first being, tulad po na sinabi kanina, the DBM is encouraging departments and agencies to appoint the respective qualified COS and JO workers to vacant positions in the agency. So kung meron naman pong bakaanting plantilla position at career says qualified naman po, career civil service eligible. That's the term I'm looking for. And they're civil service eligible naman po, then the DBM encourages the departments and agencies to fill those positions with the civil service eligible COS and JO workers. The second po is that if there are programs and projects, they request for these items to be convertible to contractual personnel rather than COS and JO. So, kino-convert po nila. Kapag project-based na, pag project-based na po kasi, pwede ng contractual personnel. And the last po is DBM is also endeavoring to create more plantilla positions in order to accommodate the COS and JO workers. The specific example, Madam Speaker, that was stated by our distinguished colleague, particularly for LEB, 16 positions have already been created. Plantilla positions have already been created to address the presence of the COS and JO workers. But again, I think the bottleneck, as mentioned earlier, is really the qualification criteria, the qualification standards as set by the Civil Service Commission. Kaya po medyo nahihirapan po na ma-fill yung plantilla positions.
Yes, Madam Speaker, yung isa siguro na pwede rin natin gawin, ma-fast track yung mga staffing approvals. Kung meron pang mga pending ngayon na mga application, pagdating sa mga bagong plantilla positions. Ngayon, kaugnay niyan, Madam Speaker, JC number 2's policy direction is to regularize core functions through plantilla positions rather than sustained COS or JOUs. What evaluation criteria, may it be mandate criticality, workload norms, or service level metrics, fiscal space, or right-sizing ceilings, does DBM currently apply in deciding whether to approve additional plantilla positions in an agency staffing pattern versus advising continued use of COS and JO? Halimbawa po, sa kaso nga ng LEB, di ba, meron ng 16 na additional plantilla positions na pero sa atin din po pagkakaalam, hindi pa yun yung lahat ng kanilang mga kailangan ng mga plantilla positions. Madam Speaker, in the interest of time, I would just request the honorable sponsor to help this representation get a written response from the DBM regarding this. Let me move on to matters on law school faculty. Based on available data, out of 3,819 law professors nationwide in both private higher educational institutions and state and local universities and colleges, only 179 or 4.69% are regular or tenured, while 3,640, or a whopping 95.31%, remain part-time. What interventions can the DBM propose to help SUCs and LUCs create more regular Pentilla teaching positions for law faculty to strengthen the quality and stability of legal education across the country? And in relation to this, Madam Speaker, we have also observed that one factor affecting the low salary grades and limited Pentilla allocation for law school faculty in SUCs is their educational attainment. Now, as you said, Madam Sponsor, there are qualification standards, no? For law school faculty, in particular in SUCs, their educational attainment being classified as merely a bachelor's degree, even if they hold a Juris Doctor. Now, the question is, how does the DBM currently classify JD holders for compensation purposes? And is there a policy or plan to recognize the JD as equivalent to a graduate degree for purposes of salary grading and faculty ranking in SUCs?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleague, with regard to what can be done to accommodate more of the professors so they can be tenured, so the SUCs could propose to the DBM to create additional positions, provided that the ratio of 1 faculty member to 25 student ratio has not been exceeded. So the SUCs and the LUCs can lodge that request to the DBM to create additional positions.
Yes, on my second question, Madam Speaker, let me repeat it for the distinguished sponsor. How does the DBM currently classify JD holders for compensation purposes? And is there a policy or plan to recognize the JD as equivalent to a graduate degree for purposes of salary grading and faculty ranking in SUCs?
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, so as per the CSE, so they set the the qualification standards in conjunction to what's there in RA 1080. So dahil po doon, the CSE, as per the QS, requires that for them to occupy legal positions, they have to be a bar passer. So if the person is a JD holder, but under bar, pwede po siya under legal assistant.
Alright, Madam Speaker, nais na lang po makipag-upuan din ng representasyon na ito with DBM, para po mapakinggan pa ang iba pang mga issues at concerns na may kinalaman sa usapin na ito. Now, for my last question, Madam Speaker, as COA DBM JC number 2 series of 2020 amended by JC number 2 series of 2022 and JC number 2 series of 2024 extended the transition for engaging COS and JO personnel until December 31, 2025. What is DBM's definitive plan and timetable for agencies to veer away, to shift away from individual COS/JO contracting after that date, and what guidance will be issued to avoid service disruption? Meron pa po ba tayong inaasahan na ma-issue na guidance?
Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, rather, to protect the interests of the COS and JOs in accordance with the directive of the President, the DBM prepared the revised guidelines on the engagement of COS and JO workers in the national government and forwarded the same to the Civil Service Commission and COA for comments. As of September 30, the DBM has already received the comments of the CSC and COA, so the DBM is currently finalizing the guidelines in order for these guidelines to be released within the year.
Maraming salamat, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, at bilang panghuli, maraming salamat sa pagsagot ng aking mga katanungan. At ulitin ko lang katulad ng panawagan ko noong day 1 hanggang ngayong huling araw ng ating plenary budget deliberations. Pagdating sa pondo, kung meron pa tayong mga mailalaan sa dagdag na facilities para sa public schools, hospitals, paglikha ng mas matagalan na mga trabaho, pagtatayo ng shelters para sa mga VAUSI victims, imbes na mailagay sa mga panandalian at batbat pa ng patronage at at corruption na tipo ng mga proyekto, mainam na maidagdag na lang natin ang pondo para sa kabuhayan, sa kalusugan, hindi lang ng kababaihan, kundi lang lahat ng nangangailangan, particular din sa mga higit na vulnerable na mga adolescent mothers at women in urban and poor and rural poor communities. Laanan din natin ng pondo ang agricultural production subsidy para matulungan ang mga magsasaka at mangingisda na apektado ng tumataas na halaga ng farm inputs, sumisirat na presyo ng langis, at sunod-sunod na mga kalamidad at pagbaha. Dagdagan din natin ng pondo para sa housing production na direktang ipapatupad at ipapatayo ng pamahalaan. Dahil nakita na rin natin na yung current scheme ng public-private partnership ay hindi gumagana para sa kagustuhan natin na mas malawakan na pagpapagawa ng serbisyo na pabahay. Wakasan na rin natin, sana, dapat ang mga ahensya na nangunguna sa paglabag sa karapatang pantao at pagpapatahimik sa mga kababaihan at mamamayan na tumitindig lang naman para sa kanilang mga karapatan. Ilagay natin ang nakalululang confidential at intelligence funds ng mga civilian agencies sa Commission on Human Rights, sa makabayang kultura at sining, sa agham at teknolohiya, at marami pang mga batayang serbisyo na kinakailangan ng ating mga kababayan. Kaya, dito na lang, Madam Speaker, Madam Sponsor, maraming salamat. And there being no other member of the minority who wishes to interpolate, I move to terminate the deliberations of the proposed budget of the Department of Budget and Management and a debate on the lump sums.
Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, on part of the majority, we join the minority in the motion to terminate the interpolations in the proposed budget of lump sum funds.
There is a joint motion to terminate the interpolations on the lump sum funds. Do I hear any objection? Hearing none, the period of debate and interpolation on the lump sum funds is hereby terminated.